The air is filled with chaos as the Foundation Mobile Task Force agent is violently hurled into the sky. His blood-curdling screams echo as he slams into the spinning blades of a Foundation attack helicopter. It's a visceral collision, sending crimson blobs into the wind. He is killed on contact. The chopper lurches as it pirouettes out of the sky and smashes into the side of a nearby skyscraper with a thunderous explosion. On the streets below, Foundation troops mount a desperate resistance. Hammer Down fights shoulder to shoulder with members of the conventional armed forces, the National Guard, and any street cops brave enough to risk their lives. Their armor glistens under the lights of a burning city, their heavy weaponry ranging from assault rifles to snipers to rocket launchers. Behind them, tanks and ATVs stocked with heavy machine guns roll forward. The death toll is already in the thousands. If this situation isn't under control soon, they're sure to spill into the tens and hundreds of thousands, and eventually, the millions. The soldiers concentrated their fire, but it's not against a rival army, but a lone figure who steps out of the fire and the brick dust. It is dressed in a long black cloak, standing 9 feet tall on its hind legs. To the untrained eye, it looks eerily like SCP-096. But there is something different about it. It seems taller, stronger. It stands erect, its face no longer covered and frightened, but coldly determined. As it surveys the attackers sent to subdue it, it does something that the original SCP-096 has never done. Its mouth twists into a sadistic smile. The army unleashes a white-hot barrage. Explosions, armor-piercing rounds, and in some more humane cases, tranquilizer darts burst through the sky. Once the opening salvo runs dry, they wait with bated breath. Nothing could withstand that, surely. But they're wrong. When the dust clears, it's still standing there, seemingly without a scratch. The only thing that is different is that it now has a few extra holes in its cloak. "Well, well, well," it says in a calm, deep voice. "Quite the welcoming party you've amassed. Allow me to repay your gratitude in kind." What happens is over in a few moments. The monster rears up and swoops in at impossible speeds, its long arms extended. It weaves through the amassed forces who, in their panic, turn their weapons on each other. The monster's huge claws slice through the soldiers who've laid their lives and bodies on the line to stop its advance. Soon, blood covers the rubble. With a deafening roar, the monster tears the tank's turret apart like paper, revealing the terrified soldiers cowering within. Blood splatters across the cold steel as the monster straightens, towering over the mangled machine. He adjusts his tattered, blood-soaked cloak with a chilling calm. "To think I ever feared the gaze of these dullards," he said with a tut. "Soon they'll learn to fear my face for a different reason. For I am the new god of their world." Something flutters down from above in the air, otherwise choked with dust and embers. A piece of paper, shiny and slick. A Polaroid photograph. The monster clasps it in surprisingly delicate fingers and inspects it. In the photo, he sees a face that he hasn't seen in a long, long time. That's when he hears a familiar sound, one that has played in his mind for a number of years. He turns with another wry smile to see the ultimate enemy standing only about 20 feet away. "Hello, old friend," the monster says. "Have you come here to die?" Just 24 hours earlier, when many who are now dead still had seemingly long and happy lives ahead of them, a Chaos Insurgency infiltration plot was on its way to ruining everything. Like many groups of interest, the Chaos Insurgency can often seem mysterious and inscrutable. Once loyal to the SCP Foundation, the Chaos Insurgency's ranks are now filled with ex-members of its most elite mobile task force, the Red Right Hand. These defectors are more than just skilled combatants. They are walking arsenals of tactical brilliance and insider knowledge, wielding the Foundation's own secrets as their deadliest weapon. No enemy understands the Foundation's intricate systems, hidden protocols, and weaknesses better than they do. Some of them use this knowledge to serve chaos itself, making the world a less stable place. Others have a far more simple motivation: money. They abduct anomalies from Foundation containment sites in highly organized raids. The anomalies that are most easy to weaponize are sold on to regimes of dictators in the developing world, eager for a way to maintain their power. For a while, an anomaly that the Chaos Insurgency was extremely eager to add to their catalog was SCP-096, the Shy Guy. There were a number of advantages to SCP-096 as a weapon. It's almost indestructible. It isn't sentient enough to resist orders. It has an almost 100% success rate in killing its targets, but there's also a lot of risk involved. Anyone who sees its face is inevitably killed, including those who deployed it if they happen to see its face by mistake. The Chaos Insurgency has decided to make their move and secure SCP-096 for a major sale, but it needed some preparation first. Their plan was simple: infiltrate Site-19, obtain SCP-096, and then transport it to SCP-914, the clockworks, where it could be refined to become an even more effective weapon. They had no idea of the true horrors that this plan would unleash. To a point, the plan was surgical. Chaos Insurgency agents infiltrated the base, executing any guards and researchers who dared stand in their way. Soon enough, they found their way to the secure chamber where SCP-096 was being held. They engaged in a brief firefight with the guards stationed around the anomaly, but their superior tactics and weapons won out, leaving them alone with the monster. The fact is, the Chaos Insurgency is almost as good as freeing anomalies from containment as the Foundation is at containing them. Their agents brought special diamond-tipped saws that allowed them to easily carve through the metal walls of the cube eternally welded around SCP-096. They averted their eyes and threw a bag over the monster's head, leading it out of the chamber with a rope around its neck. Across the facility, other Chaos Insurgency agents have already secured SCP-914. They've put in signal jammers and organized a decoy attack on another far-flung containment site, just to ensure that reaction time from external reinforcements would be as delayed as possible. It wasn't before long that they were ushering in SCP-096 into the intake booth of SCP-914, while one of the more senior members of the raiding party stood at the control panel. The plan was simple: set the machine to fine and have a refined version of the Shy Guy that any self-respecting autocratic despot would want to add to their arsenal. However, the Chaos Insurgency raiding party had made a fatal mistake, underestimating the SCP Foundation. A group of guards had survived the initial assault and were building their numbers outside the testing chamber. Just as the Chaos Insurgency squad leader was about to activate the machine, the guards breached the room and opened fire. The squad leader took 2 bullets through the lung and another through his spine. He collapsed against the console, bleeding out, and in the process knocked the dial. The setting went from fine to very fine, a crucial difference that would lead to a horrifying fate for many. The machine juddered into life, a cacophony of mechanical noise. Once it's already started, it is impossible to stop. As the firefight continued, all they could do was hope that the worst-case scenario would be averted for all of them. Once the process was over and the horrifying noise of the machinery cut out, the door to the output booth slid open with a billowing cloud of mist. All the gunfire stopped as combatants from both sides turned their heads to see the immense beast stepping out of the dark. It was SCP-096 in vague shape. It looked bigger, stronger, smarter, and it didn't look like a loping, mindless beast the way the Shy Guy they knew often did. No, it walked erect on its back legs, implying a kind of sickly intelligence that its former incarnation never possessed. And as if attempting to prove that in the most shocking way possible, the monster that had once been SCP-096 cleared its throat and spoke. "You must teach me how to use that wonderful machine," he said. "I can safely say that I've never felt better." There was a moment of hesitation from the sheer shock. The creature could talk? It didn't seem to be entering its rage state from having its face viewed either. It was, though, on some deep fundamental level, SCP-096 had been well and truly altered. But that doesn't mean it's been altered for the better. What followed next is a wholesale slaughter unlike anything seen since the acid-spitting Zumziru, as the monstrous new form of SCP-096 murdered the Foundation guards and Chaos Insurgents alike. Not because it had to, no. Not because it was driven by murderous rage, but because it wanted to. How many decades had they kept him locked up, isolated, to stew in his rage and self-loathing. None of these sad little humans had ever tried to help him or ever tried to cure him, just futile attempts to lock him up and kill him. Cold, not cruel. What a sad little joke. Now that he had full power over his mind, he would show them the true meaning of cruel. It didn't take the monster long to decimate the containment site and break into a nearby population center. He started to wreak havoc for his fun, his own sick amusement. Elsewhere, a Foundation panic room was desperately trying to figure out a solution. Mobile task forces were being dispatched left and right, while potential anomalous solutions were being considered. Releasing SCP-682 would be too much of a risk, given that even an unenhanced version of SCP-096 fought the hard-to-destroy reptile to a draw. Abel and Pandora's Box would likely be just as vulnerable to the monster's attacks as any other human would. Perhaps their only option would be to fight fire with fire, and they'd need to take advantage of some of the Foundation's dimensional shifting technology to do it. An agent was sent on a mission to an alternate universe, hoping to collect a special package, their version of SCP-096. And so the two titans face one another in the ruined streets of the city. The original SCP-096, extracted as a last resort from another universe, up against the new and improved SCP-096 that the Clockworks had produced. Whoever was left standing would decide the fate of the human race. The first 096, who, for the sake of simplicity, we'll just call the original, charges for the monster, all its speed and strength and fury channeled into one hellish thrust. But the monster is intelligent and does not feel the fear that others do. The monster dodges the full force of the original's charge, grabbing its legs and swinging it into a nearby building. A thunderous boom echoes around the scarred city as a cascade of broken bricks tumble down, but that only buys him a few seconds. The original is a creature driven by pure instinct, untiring, unrelenting. It's already charging back into battle with a bone-chilling scream even before the dust settles. It comes out swinging, displaying its impossible strength for its lithe build. The monster catches it by its wrists and holds it in place as best it can, exerting force that pushes it down to the ground. My, I was a persistent one, wasn't I? He says, but so very stupid. He hears a rumbling down below. The monster raises a fist and brings it down onto the back of the original. The mindless beast is mashing through the ground, passing down through the sewer system and into the subway below. As the original hits the tracks, momentarily dazed, it turns to see a bright light coming towards it, and then it's hit by the 6 p.m. eastbound train. Up above, the monster laughs. Was this really the Foundation's trump card? Taking him on with an inferior version of himself? How incredibly pathetic. If this was really the best resistance they could put up after trying everything else, then his dominion over this world was assured. Or was it? Consumed by visions of a world reshaped in its grotesque image, the monster doesn't notice the tremors beneath its feet until it's too late. The ground explodes with a deafening roar as the original bursts through the concrete. The impact sends the monster hurtling through the air, smashing it into the crumbling remains of a nearby building, the very one marked by the wreckage of a helicopter crash. A flicker of recognition flashes across the monster's warped features, and its cruel grin returns. It does not see rubble. It sees an opportunity. As the original readies itself for another attack, the monster decides to give itself an advantage. It reaches for the nearby destroyed helicopter and rips off one of the reinforced propeller blades, wielding it like an improvised sword. When the original inevitably came bounding in, the monster slashed at it, cleaving a deep gash across the original's gray flesh. The original screamed in pain, but the monster didn't let up, striking again and again with the propeller sword. Still, the original's bones remained impervious to every strike. Then the monster would have to try a little harder to break them. He impales the panicking original with the sword, then goes in with his claws and fists, striking relentlessly at the creature's head. When the original falls, the monster grabs it on either side of the head and begins to squeeze. If the bones break, then it's all over. However, as the monster has the original in its grip, he doesn't even notice the blue sparks of energy crackling around them both. He's so engrossed in this ultimate act of self-destruction that he doesn't notice the trap he's fallen into. The same technology that brought the original SCP-096 here from a different universe could send them both of them back there. By the time the monster fully realizes the orb of electricity crackling around them, it's already too late.
No! You can't do this!
He doesn't get to finish his sentence. In a flash, the two of them are gone, to a different place, a different time. But wherever that may be, one thing is sure. This isn't over. Now go check out SCP-096 is not a monster, and SCP-096 but the roles are reversed for more.